Hello, Aradhna. How are you doing, my darling? Sorry for all the difficult stuff you've been going through already this year. I know it's been a really, really emotional time for you, so I'm sorry for that. See, thank you for the opportunity to do this HeartWay path for you for 2022. It's a real honor and privilege, and thank you for your patience in waiting for it. I realize you have been waiting a little while, and so thank you for that. The pathway or the HeartWay for 2022, as you know, from doing this whole compass and from engaging in the HeartWay process so far, is a journey of intention through 2022. And it really is asking us to stay connected to our heart and to notice how that presents us with new choices and different ways of navigating our lives. And so in your handouts, I've resent you the full 12 cards for the HeartWay for the universal path. So this is for the group consciousness. The reading that I'm going to do for you is your personal 12 cards. And it's really important to notice the alignment between them. So if January's got Be Brave, whatever your card is, it's got a relationship with that. Obviously, we're in February already, so I have included in the 12-month reading for you January of 2022 so that you can use as a reflection point. And given that you've waited so long for this reading, I've also included a bonus card for January 2023. So you'll have that at the end of this. Some ways to think about this reading, enough to know that this is not a forecast. This isn't trying to tell you what the future is going to hold. It's not telling you, there's no fear in any of the reading that comes up. It really is saying to stay connected to your heart. These are the cards that are going to provoke you to think about it. And so you can use these cards as setting intention and inviting in clarity, and also to reflect as we go through the year. So you can listen to this whole reading now if you'd like to, but more importantly will be to go to those points in as the year unfolds and to listen to it then. And as with anything, it gets clearer as we move through it, as opposed to trying to predict it all as we start at this point. So let's start with your January 2022 and see what card comes up there for you. So the card for January 2022 was "It is safe for you to receive." Need a big sigh, yeah? Like almost noticing how that sigh just is like a sort of sense of, there's a profound amount of wisdom in knowing that this infinity symbol requires harmony, that for us to be able to be the contributors and the givers and the healers in the world, we need to receive that love back. We need to receive that support back. So really allowing yourself to look at this January card through the energy of where's things out of harmony? Where are relationships out of harmony? Where is dynamics in the way that you are expressing yourself out of harmony? Is that out of harmony between the masculine and feminine? Out of harmony in the giving and taking? Out of harmony in the active and reflective? In the busyness and the resting? How do we bring a sort of knowing that all these things need to be in harmony with each other, and really allowing that receptive state in you to notice, what is the things that I'm a barrier to, I'm blocking myself from receiving, so that I can step into that harmonious place. And that brings us into February, and you've got the card for February is Embrace Pleasure. Again, we see the infinity symbol there. So this flows. And so we're sitting in February now, and we're sitting very much in how do you start to notice the physical pleasure of life, the fact that life is a gift to be cherished, and the pleasure in all dimensions of life. And you've faced death again, but noticing in that we take great delight in cherishing the life of somebody that has now passed on, and noticing the pleasure of having them as part of our world. And so how relationships and people and experiences and memories, there's a pleasure in that. And so life is not something to be perfected. It's not something to be chased. It's not something to be sort of focused on only in the future. We need to embrace the pleasure of the experience of each moment now. One thing that death teaches us, as you know, is the sort of willingness to say, what am I doing with my life? How do I step into the pleasure of my life? I love the juxtaposition of your card of embrace pleasure that aligns with the February card of feel it, deal with it, heal it. Because if we haven't processed our feelings and deal with it, we kind of suppress everything and we resist the desire or the ability to enjoy the pleasure of life. So almost like these cards flow, once you heal it, pleasure becomes a possibility. And so if paying attention to what you are blocking again, and that seems to be part of the theme of what's emerging, is removing blockages to your joy, removing blockages to your lifeline, removing blockages to your gifts, really noticing the excuses and the blockages that we make that could be holding you separate from really, really embracing this life that you have. March, step out of the shadows. Step out of the shadows. I smile because I know that you've signed up for the coach training. And so undoubtedly there is a connection to this of stepping out of playing small and stepping out of the way you're doing things and stepping into the opportunity to do something different. Again, we've got the infinity symbol. So the first 3 months, January, February, March so far, have all been from the same suit of really allowing yourself to step into the authenticity of you. And step out of the shadows means dancing center stage. Saying, I'm ready. You know, one of the ways that I often talk about it, and it's a weird way, but say, I'm ready to do what I was born to do. Committing to that, saying that's the path I want to walk. And that takes us into April. In April, we see for the first time there's no infinity symbol, but we get the card coping is not the same as healing. In April, the universal consciousness is raise your vibration. And so taking off the mask, really, really allowing the emotions, a lot of what you've often resisted to be in that sort of emotional dimension to yourself, to come into full being and participate in your world rather than staying sort of suppressed and simmering. You can certainly expect April to be a month of great challenge and transformation for you. There's going to be many, many triggers going off, is the way they show it. That's not necessarily different to any other month, but it's a month to pay attention to what it's offering you and what you're learning and what you're teaching, what you're gaining, because this card is going to provoke this in many ways. That brings us to May. Sorry, it's not nice of me to laugh, but be real about what you feel. So we're seeing here the yin yang repeating itself. So coping is not the same as healing. Be real about what you feel. So all the emotional processing that is important here. And you'll see in May, we've got your dreams are calling you forward as the universal consciousness. So April and May really sort of expand your heart in many ways. And we do need to, again, pay attention to the blockages that you've placed, to sort of like, if you think of a stream that keeps showing, like, you know, there's almost been these big boulders placed in the stream to stop the flow. And lifting them means that we have to like there's lifting them. And when you lift anything, there's stuff underneath. We need to deal with the turmoil that comes up. But that process and the water starts to flow again. And so we start to find big change happening in your life, big change happening in your sense of self and sense of identity. And sort of anything that's been held sort of in the background comes flashing forward and really flashes through and removes those obstacles to brilliance. And then we get June, where you see the need for real action. So all that's been leading up to this, the sort of receiving, bringing harmony, opening up, putting yourself out there, being more aware of your emotions and dealing with things that are coming up. What do you want to do? What action do you want to take? What steps are being asked for you. So in June, we start to see a real sort of like itchy feet kind of energy coming up, and a real need to take they say a lot of action. I'm not sure it's a lot more than before, but it's intentional action. So decisions will be made in June, or there is an opportunity to make a lot of decisions in June for yourself. That leads to July. Express yourself. This is beyond speaking. This is more sort of authenticity. You kind of settle into your own brand of you, who you are. So the performer in you that we started to pay attention to in April starts to drop, and we start to find the authentic you being expressed more and more. Now, clearly, these are always there together, but part of your pathway is revealing yourself to you. I think authenticity always has this magical gift of figuring yourself out. You learn about yourself as opposed to know about yourself. And so it's almost like a path of discovery that happens for you in that journey. And the more you act, the more you learn. And the more you learn, the more you act. And so we see this June and July energy starting to be that infinity symbol again. And that takes us into August. And in August, we've got the card, Judgment keeps you separate. Judgment keeps you separate. So one of your great struggles or opportunities, whichever way you want to think about it, and both are equally valid, is the sort of distancing and then connecting, and distancing and then connecting. It's a pattern and a habit in relating. You pull away and then come close, and pull away and then come close. And way of testing whether I'm going to be rejected or not, whether everything's going to be okay. And in the desire to push away, you may find yourself feeling very isolated and alone and distanced from people in your life. And so August, as you're starting to learn about yourself in a different way, you start to see this pattern of, when do I allow people close and when do I push them away? And how does that game that you play serve you in the world at the moment? That takes us to September, and we got another Merkaba approach with lightness. Yeah. So now we start to see that all these experiences are ones where we start to sort of like shed away the heaviness that you've been carrying for a long time, and start to notice a way of being in the world that feels lighter and brighter to yourself. This is not to say that this isn't something you've experienced before or will continue to experience, but September with the spring energy brings in a sort of lightheartedness, that sort of a sense of calm after the storm to some extent coming in, and a way of just sort of looking at things from a bird's eye perspective and seeing things from a different perspective, and allowing things to be lighter in the touch, lighter in your experience, lighter in your heart. And then we get October, and I love the relationship with October here. It says, let your light shine. The October card is it's time to create the life you want to live. The beauty of this card is the clean slate and the opportunity to do things however you want to do them. But realize we never really have a clean slate. There's always history that comes with us. And so, you know, whilst you may want it to be a clean slate, you may need to learn how to change the picture you're in, change the life that you're in, and give yourself permission to not feel trapped by that, but to use that as the springboard for creating what you want in your life. But there's a definite energy of no longer reacting, but being more empowered to create and make up what you want. Takes us into November. You're not being punished. So you can notice, Aradhna, when you look at the cards and energetic flow, there's almost like a brave and then a reprieve, and then a bravery and a reprieve. bravery and reprieve, and that's the energy. When we get you're not being punished, this is breaking up with all the things that hold you victimized in your life. Really allowing yourself to own your freedom and to say, I am free. And to understand on a very, very deep level how you hold the key to your own future, your own desires, your own wishes and dreams. And the stories of punishment from your past, rewriting them, really letting them be new ways of seeing yourself and others in the world. And that takes us to December, where we've got to assert your boundaries. Realize there's a relationship. March has got an assert your boundaries, so there's going to be a connection there. And we see in December it's time to give up. So what is it that needs to shift finally for you to step into this power? And I love the focus of this card, this figure standing there with their hand on their heart, really willing to embrace their life, walk through the doorway to their life, because it's clear. There's a clarity that happens in December. So I think key patterns, if we look at the themes that are emerging through this, is there's the process of readiness in the beginning of this year. We then got a process from April, May, June, July, August, even to September, where there's sort of like quite a bit of opportunity for things to be rearranged. And then a sort of coming out of the washing machine kind of thing and saying, all right, now let me step forward into what I want, releasing those layers of stories that you've been holding on to, and becoming very clear who you are, what you want, and how you want to move forward. And so that takes you to your bonus card for 2023. And we come all the way full circle back to the infinity symbol. And your January 2023 card is Please Be Selfish. So Aradhna's stepping into the world in 2023 in a whole new way. So there you have it, my darling. I hope that that gives you some perspective. Don't get too attached to anything as you listen to this. Rather let the cards teach you as you go through 2022. And I look forward to this year with you and seeing how to support you and what unfolds for you. Lots of love. Namaste.